Welcome back to Bill Sports. Welcome back to Bill Sports.
As we are now coming up onto the Super Bowl this weekend, Aiden, and all of you out there listening in on the podcast, we just have to appreciate and thank you guys for listening in and tuning in to our coverage on the NFL this season. And when we eventually move on to back to transitioning to soccer in the MLS, we got to now talk about the Super Bowl, Aiden. Now, we have both very good teams who have very good histories making it into the playoffs and also coming into the Super Bowl. One being a fairly recent appearing into the Super Bowl, and one that's been a little while since they were last in the Super Bowl. But still, both very good teams. Now, Aiden, what are we looking at in terms of the game itself? Who do you think is gonna struggle in this game?
Seattle got Sam Darnold and Cooper Kupp and Joy Alba.
Jordy Alba.
No.
That's a wrong sport, dude. That guy retired.
God.
That's a wrong sport. That's soccer. Or the other football, for that matter. Who are you trying to think about?
Number 11.
I can't think of who you're talking about. I can't remember at the top of my head because I don't really follow Seattle that much. But, anyways, either way, they have players.
Yeah.
On the team, and
this will be a good matchup because it's against Cooper Kupp and Stephon Diggs.
It is, and those two wide receivers are very, very good wide receivers, and they've been good respectively on each of their sides of the ball for both teams. Now let's look at the history of both these teams, Aiden, who are going into Super Bowl. For the Seahawks, they were last in the Super Bowl back in 2013, and if I remember correctly, that was the Legion of Boom defense that year for the Seattle Seahawks. And this year's defense looks scarily similar to that same defense back in 2013, don't you think?
Yeah.
So, I said this in my Patriots preview podcast, where you can listen to it on the radio for the Birthplace radio station on 89.9. I basically said that essentially, if the Patriots can't get the ball out fairly quickly, like if Drake May can't get the ball out to his wide receivers really quickly, and they don't come up with different run schemes, that defense of the Seattle Seahawks is going to tear that offensive line apart. But the Patriots have to be smart with the ball going into this game. And if the Patriots can keep up with the defense of the Seattle Seahawks, and the Patriots did I say Patriots defense? I meant Patriots offense. If the Patriots offense can keep up with the defense of the Seattle Seahawks, and the Patriots defense can keep Sam Darnold at bay, it could be a low-scoring game. By the way, in that 2013 team for the Seattle Seahawks, they absolutely blew out the Broncos 43-8. Can't you believe that? That's what I mean. And by the way, do you want to know who was the quarterback for the Broncos that year? Peyton Manning. So for a quarterback like Peyton Manning getting blown out by a really good defense, it looks scarily similar to this year. I think it's going to be a very close game, or it's going to be a blowout of a game, and it's going to be for the Seahawks. But again, Patriots have a top 10, maybe top 5 defense, and their offense has been pretty good this year. Just even though I would argue the reason why they won so many games was because of the teams that were playing against. Because majority of the teams that they played against, except for 2, were all teams who never made it to the playoffs. So I, I I'm back and forth about this. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Aiden? What do you think is going to
Uh,
happen in this game?
Sam Donald been good all year long. If the Patriots don't stop them, they will get destroyed by Cooper Cup and number 11 and their tight end and all of the above. And his running game too.
Yeah, that's another thing that they have to worry about. Go ahead, Aiden.
We need to worry about his running game and stuff.
Yeah, that running game is very deadly too. What's the running back's name again? I can't remember off the top of my head. I only know he's been fantastic all season long.
Yeah.
From what I'm under the impression. Yeah, man. I mean, it's again. I think it's gonna be a very good game. It's a hard game to say. It really is. But before we get to the results, I want to know, who do you think is going to be your MVP, your Super Bowl MVP, Aiden?
He destroyed us. Then Rams. I'm picking Sam Donald to be the MVP.
You know, he very much could have. It very much could happen, Aiden. Look, I have to be realistic because this defense of the Seattle Seahawks is just too good. But then again, the Patriots did beat the Texans, and the Texans would arguably had a top 5 defense too. So I don't know. But then again, the Texans aren't the Seattle defense. Like, here's the Texans, and then the Seattle defense is a couple notches higher than and better than them. So it's like you got the Texans defense, and then you got the Seattle defense. It's kind of comparable, but it's not really. It's like tomato. I mean, but it's a little difficult to say what this game's gonna go. If I had to pick a Super Bowl MVP, I know this is a long shot, but I'm gonna say Stephon Diggs, or Cooper Kupp, one of the wide receivers. Reason being is because I just don't. I want to see a different player win MVP in the Super Bowl other than a quarterback, because it seems like it's always a quarterback that usually gets the MVP.
Yeah.
But I would argue that if it wasn't for the wide receiver making a play and being able to get open for the quarterback to throw to them, I would argue that the wide receiver should get a more of a recognition than the quarterback. Because I would argue it's a lot harder to run a route and get away from somebody and then try to have to turn back and catch the ball and then run down the field to try to score a touchdown while you have like 3 other guys chasing after you. Whereas compared to the quarterback, I get it. They have to have a very good arm talent and understand how, what strength of arm they have to throw the ball to be able to get the ball to the wide receiver, depending on where they are on the field. Go ahead, Aiden.
Sam Donald did it forever, so.
I know, true. So, I mean, and also they have to try to throw the ball to a moving target, too. That's very difficult. Yes, I get it. But again, if it wasn't for that wide receiver getting open, I think the quarterback wouldn't have so many good stats. Like, and sometimes it's not all about the stats of the quarterback. Like, sometimes the quarterback can get 130 yards passing and they still win the game. Like, sometimes the quarterback doesn't need to do much. Sometimes they might have to just run the ball all game. I mean, it doesn't take much. I mean, I would argue the stats of any quarterback or player, for that matter, it's about the production that they produced for the team to be able to help them win that game. I think is so much better than their stats or how they performed based off their stats. I don't know. There's a lot more different things that I would argue would would show that a player has the capabilities professionally. I just sometimes we focus too much on the stats and not enough on the player and what they actually do off the ball. And I think that's what's something you have to acknowledge too. Anyways, let's enough with that. I said Diggs, you said Sam Darnold for the MVP. Fair enough. Those are arguably really good spots. I said Cooper Kupp or Diggs. It's one of the two. And it very much could be Drake May. Very much could be. But it's gonna be it's gonna be a very good game, I can guarantee you that. Or it's gonna be a very poor game for one of the teams. One of the teams is gonna get either blown out or it's gonna be a very close game, low scoring. But let's get into the predictions of the game, Aiden. Or you have any other final thoughts about what you think is gonna happen for the rest of the game?
We know Sam Darnold went on the Jets, then the 49ers, then the Vikings, and now Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
He took the Vikings to a 14-3.
Mm-hmm.
And after that era, the Vikings were horrible. When he come to Seattle, he made this team good again. And now he's in a Super Bowl for the first time ever.
Yeah, I mean, look, Aiden. The guy couldn't catch a break. I'll put it that way. I would argue the Vikings kind of messed him up. Kind of like really screwed him. I'm gonna be honest. They screwed him. Like, how do you get rid of a quarterback after he makes you guys a winning team? Why would you do that? This quarterback came in after your team being absolutely piss poor, and then he came in and gave you guys a winning record, and brought you guys to a playoff, and then you get rid of him, and then now look what he's doing in Seattle, 14-3, right? 14-3, and it's now in the Super Bowl. The Vikings are looking at that decision and like, why did we do that? That could be us. Yeah, it could be. But it ain't. Anyways. What is your prediction for the Super Bowl, Aiden? What do you think is going to win who do you think is going to win in this game? Because I actually been... It seems kind of clear. Because you picked Sam Darnold as your MVP. You've been kind of backing the Seahawks a lot in this game. Who do you think is going to win this game, Aiden?
Seattle.
By how much?
By 7.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's going to be a close game. I think it might be even closer than that. I think it might be even by a field goal. Depending on the game, how the game goes for each team. But it also could go the other way. It also could be just a blowout game for one of the teams. In the scenario that the Patriots are able to keep the defense of the Patriots is able to keep Sam Darnold at bay, and Drake May is able to figure out how to manage the offense against that defense, I strongly think that it could go the Patriots' way, and it's going to be by a field goal. And if that doesn't happen, and the Seahawks defense is just absolutely barreling over the offensive line of the Patriots, I definitely see the Seahawks absolutely blowing them out. And it's going to be bad. So, it could go either way. But I'm going to take the Patriots by a field goal because it's too hard to tell. It really is. Because both these teams are very good. But yeah, let's just wait and see what the Super Bowl looks like, right?
Yeah.
Heck yeah. And it's on Sunday. What time?
6:30.
6:30 in the afternoon. That's kind of late. That's a little late, isn't it? No, but yeah, man. I don't know. Look, it's gonna be a good game, and we just have to wait and see.
Mm-hmm.
As Super Bowl 60 kicks off at 6:30 on Sunday, Everybody better be watching, and then come back to and listen to the podcast next week, as we will be covering the overall outcome of the Super Bowl, what we think are the thoughts of the game were, and any other news related to sports, whether it's soccer, football, and maybe even we'll throw in some basketball news about the Celtics or whatever the case may be. Either way, we will be here next week. Now, let's get into some MLS Revolution news, Aiden.
Yes.
So, what do we have for news as of recent? We were talking about some of the guys that have extensions or were loaned out or were even signed. So, Aiden. Wow, my computer is not working. That is fantastic. But who do you remember, to your knowledge, who were we talking about earlier that were loaned out, extended, and then signed?
Carlos Hill got an extension. We signed a goalkeeper.
Yeah, we signed was it DJ Gunn?
DJ Gunn.
And then who was the guy who we loaned out? It's one of our young guys who made a good difference on the team last year. His name starts with a J. Jack Panawatu. Yep. So Jack Panawatu was, to what we know, he was loaned out to Loudoun United FC, who are a USL team, USL Championship team.
Very
and
funny.
then what happened? What'd you say?
Loudoun FC, more like Atlanta FC.
Not Atlanta, bro. What are you talking about?
They got the same.
Tomato. Whatever. I'm just kidding. No, but and then we got the extension of Carlos Heel. I believe, to my knowledge, it was extended all the way to 2028. So that's another 2 more years of Carlos Heel, even though he's 32 years old. That's just my thoughts. I don't agree with it. I actually think
a goalkeeper who's 30 something.
I understand that, but it's hard because goalkeepers can get up to like 38 and still be like a decent goalkeeper because there's not as much movement for a goalkeeper as it is compared to an outfield player. Jesus, my brain is everywhere.
Yeah.
Either way, like there is a lot of movement. There's diving, there's kicking, there's agility, there's all of the above. There's a lot of stuff that goalkeepers have to realize in their position. Yes, I get it. That's a very difficult position to play in soccer, and I'm not discrediting that. But it's definitely much harder as an outfielder to play.
I did it before.
Yeah, exactly.
And I got.
And you got scored on a lot.
And I got hit in the face.
You got hit. Fair enough. Yeah, exactly. But that's what I mean. You have to have agility. You have to be very aware of your surroundings. You gotta have cat-like reflexes. You gotta be able to jump and dive, and there's a lot of movement as a goalie. But it's definitely harder as an outfield player. What?
I made my first goal last year.
You did. So we're gonna then go into now JD Gunn, which I would say is a good signing because we just got rid of Alex Bono, and we now only had, to my knowledge, two goalies. We had Matt Turner, and we had Donovan Pearson. And then we usually want a third keeper, because just in case in the dire situation that Matt Turner goes down, and then we have Pearson elevated to number 1, we need to have a second guy, or a third guy that can be the backup, just in the dire situation that Donovan Pearson, Pearson, it's whatever. His last name starts with a P, I know that. But we need at least 3 keepers. I don't see a point in going any further than that. I think 2 is plenty, but 3 is like a safety net in case your starting goalkeeper goes down, and now you'll have your backup in as a starting position, and then now you have your third string as the backup. I think it's a good signing because DJ Gunn, to my knowledge, wasn't bad for the second team. I think he was on our second team, and to my knowledge, he wasn't bad at all. And he, in fact, was. There's a reason why he got elevated to the first squad. Because clearly he was a good keeper. So that gives us a good safety net for hopefully developing him, and then maybe either he becomes the starting keeper or he's going to be a backup keeper for us for the New England Revolution in the event that Matt Turner eventually either retires or moves on to another team. What's up, Aiden?
First, Matt Turner need to teach these goalkeepers how to play in the goal.
Absolutely, and I think that they need to develop a new keeper because eventually Matt Turner is going to have to leave, and I'm not having us have to try to develop a goalkeeper in a year because Matt Turner turns around and says, "Oh, wait a minute, I'm retiring," when he's 31 years old or 30 years old, whatever, and he retires in the next 4 years. Train somebody now. Get that established backup so that who we can develop and eventually become our starter. Because if you start early enough and you nail it in the butt now, and you have Matt Turner develop these guys and help them understand how to be a high caliber goalkeeper, when he does inevitably either retire or move on to another team or we trade him or whatever, we have that safety net. We don't have to go out and search for another keeper. We can just elevate a young talent, have them develop and understand the game, and then they will become our starter. That's how it should go. I think we should be going younger and not older, because the older you get, the more issues you're gonna have. And there's not as much development there too. So it's a lot of work, but we have a loan out and we have 2 new signings, one for an extension and one for just for a promotion from the second team to the first team. And once again, we it looks good. We also have to address, I completely just realized that there's one other thing we have to address, Aiden. New England Revolution lost their last preseason game against Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it was 4-3. I have to double check that. But yes, so it was Houston, correction, not Atlanta. But they ended up losing 3-2. But they had 4 different sections of the game where they had 4 different mixed teams. And towards the end, they mostly had all of their backups. So losing 3-2 against Houston isn't that bad, considering the fact that we had a lot of our backups in the last couple of the sessions. So there was 4 sessions, each of them being, I believe, 30 minutes to my knowledge. And that gives each player on the team a rep or 2 to be able to understand each other and get to mingle in more, play a game with each other. And this helps with the team's chemistry a lot. But we only lost by 1, and we were playing with a lot of our backups in those sessions. When I looked at the report on the game, there was a lot of our backup guys were in with the first team in the first session and the second session. And the fact that and we were up at one point. We were up 2-1 going into, I believe, the third session. And then the third or fourth session was when we majority had our second and third string guys going in and getting reps. So we let up 2 goals in that time period, which means realistically, if we had our whole starting lineup in there the whole time, we would have won that game. Easily. We would have won that game. So it's not a concern whatsoever. I think it shows growth, and I think it shows that we do have depth because we could still be in the game when we even have guys who aren't our starting guys in the lineup. I think that's a great. What are your thoughts, Aiden?
Go New England! You could do it.
What? That's all you got?
And you got this new coach, and this could make our culture even more better than before.
Heck yeah. That's all we have to ask for, right? But is that all we have for them?
I got one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead. Kick it off. You can
Uh,
end off the episode, buddy, this time. I usually do it, but I want to hear you do it this time.
I got one more thing
All right, go
to
ahead.
say to the coach. You got this, coach, and you will be the best coach in probably like second or third league, and hopefully you're more better than our previous coach was.
Absolutely. We're going to end off the episode here for you folks. Don't forget to tune in every Thursday at 12 to listen on the latest episodes of your Bro Sports here on YouTube, TikTok, and all other social medias. I'm your host, Corey Raftery.
Aiden Raftery.
And we will catch you guys in next week's episode of your Bro Sports.
And Revolution, win a lot of games, please.
Please do. Have a good one.
And see you next time.